to you by Shawn Porter Promotions.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PorterWay Podcast. We're going to jump right into this one because we got a guest coming, and I want to give as much time to him as I can. We got a co-star of the film that just dropped, Sinners. Omar Miller will be joining the PorterWay Podcast. He has before, so I'm always look forward to talking boxing. Yeah.
One of the best interviews.
Yeah. Can I keep going? I always love talking boxing with Omar. What it do, eh?
Oh, man, you know, I've been out. They were slaving me at work, so I missed a couple episodes, but I'm back, baby.
I thought you was the master.
They is you, right? Because you're the boss. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But when you got to go against them this day. Okay, that's what. Shout out to Carson. Carson taught me that. Shout out to Carson, man.
What did he teach you?
Beautiful remember Day? He would say, Day on the internet said this about you.
No.
And I would say, Day, who the hell is Day? You ain't never, He used to text you all the time and say, Day, that's what they said about you on the internet. Come on. Yeah, I was like, shout out to Carson. Got a beautiful family now. You guys wouldn't believe seeing Carson as a dad, just like you're surprised. It's a beautiful thing, though. Shout out to Carson. That's my man. But it's a beautiful thing, man.
I ain't really seen him.
You got to see him, Sean. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, he's a little soft.
He's the last person in the world I can see being a dad. But Carson's doing a great job, man.
Beautiful. All right, no surprise there, man. He comes from a fantastic family. I know his dad very well. His dad is dynamite, so I know Carson's dynamite.
Talk shit just like Carson?
No.
Where did he get that from then?
I don't know.
R.I.P.
His
to
mom
grandma,
is a
right?
talker, but
R.I.P. to grandma too, right? She made your favorite lasagna.
Yeah. Made my
Shout
favorite
out.
lasagna.
Oh, damn.
And my favorite cookies as well. Yeah. So shout out to Grandma Joe. Grandma Joe will certainly be missed. This is what we're not gonna miss. You guys aren't gonna miss this. You're right-handed, right?
Yeah.
So like in school, would you raise your hand with your right hand? Won't you?
Pretty much, right.
A little higher.
No.
Little higher.
No, the left hand. Yeah,
a little higher.
Sometimes.
It was sometimes but usually you did the right hand, right?
I did.
Yeah. Did you raise it up high because you wanted to get called on?
Usually
raise it up high like you want me to call on
about this
you.
height.
No, but use the other one though.
That was smooth, Sean. That was smooth, Sean. Because I didn't know where we was going with that one.
Hey, listen, we always in here having some fun. I'm not gonna say what we said.
I'm going to heaven. Is what they're trying. I got a holy shirt. I'm going to heaven.
I got a holy shirt.
That'll be the swag in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
We already talking about it.
I had a lot of people tell me that I got it wrong with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. So with that being said, I'm gonna go back into my hole of being 50-50 fights here, and I'll explain why when we get there. But Antt, you said you stopped scoring it at some point. Right?
Man, I was very impressed. That's what I was watching. What I felt like to me, it was like big brother fighting little brother. Little brother went and got some confidence after big brother beat me up a few times. I went gained my confidence. I'm the man now. I got the youth. The first 3 rounds, I'm like, damn, he on his ass. Youth, everything. And then all of a sudden, big brother.
Yeah.
And then big brother's like,
I like that.
Then big brother said, I'm going to beat you at your old game at the end. I said, oh, man.
He trying to get dirty. He trying to puck you.
I'm like, come on. Don't let that happen.
Initial thoughts when you first was watching the fight.
Good fight for sure. And Eubank Jr. surprised me. I think the will of Eubank Jr. has to be commended. Yeah. We're eating our words. We both thought that weight cut, and we turned out to be right about that. That weight cut was brutal on him, as he showed. I think the fact that Eubank Jr., with an awful weight cut, really looking like his legs and his snap weren't even with him in this fight, to out-hustle a man 7 years younger who's comfortable and strong at the weight when you're drained, and to out-hustle him down that is Chris Eubank Jr.'s finest hour. I think he's got a big heart, big balls. Yeah. And Conor Benn did too. Yeah. But his were a little bit bigger down the stretch.
A lot of times when you talk about going across the pond to fight, it's always, well, not always, but one of the major components is how comfortable you are. We saw Anthony Joshua come over here and he lost to Andy Ruiz. I think that he was overestimating Andy. I think he, underestimating Andy and looking at Andy and thinking that Andy wasn't something that he actually was. It was a surprise. He got dropped and it kind of went from there. I know he dropped Andy too, but he never really got comfortable in the ring. And a lot of times when there's that overseas thing, it's that process of how comfortable are you. I truly think that there was some comfort here for Chris Eubank knowing Conor Benn as close as he has, and it created the ability for him to find that heart that we saw. He got comfortable right around that midway of the fight. And I think that also knowing Conor Benn also helped create that level of comfort that he had to kind of keep going with it. You know, I was really that. I think that was the most impressive thing to me in the fight.
We're getting into it now, right?
We're into it.
So
let my hands
go. Damn it!
He said, "Let my hands go." I love
it. I good and bad. I just it was a frustrating fight to watch too. More so on the side of Conor Benn. Yeah. And I think Nigel Benn would agree with me.
Yeah.
I know he does because he said it after the fight.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating to watch on the part of Eubank because I got the sense if he was strong tonight and fresh, he could stop this kid. Mm-hmm. And his counterpunching would have been a lot more brutal early in the fight. And he wouldn't have had to resort to just mauling and brawling in the last 5 rounds. He was a dead man those last 5 rounds. This is why it was frustrating on Conor Benn's end. It reminded me of that third Roy Jones-Tarver fight. And Sean, I don't know if you remember that fight, but Tarver, he gassed out so bad towards the end of the fight. Emmanuel Stewart was like, if Roy just had anything in the tank, he could actually take advantage of this, but he couldn't. Conor Benn had something in the tank, but what he didn't have was IQ. And you don't hook with the hooker, but you do jab with the jabber. And Sean texted me halfway through the fight, where's the damn jab? Shaking my damn head. Him starting from too far out and lunging in with his big shots. If you just were starting a little closer, and I know I'm not the boxer, I'm not the boxing trainer, but if you could find a way, like Sean used to navigate that distance behind your jab a little bit so you get closer to him and not have to start your work from so far out, you might have been able to win this fight if you're Conor Benn.
When people talk about experience
against this version of Eubank,
that's I think probably the clearest indication of how much experience you have is dictating when and where you throw your punches, when you throw them and where you throw them from. The clearest indication of his lack of experience was his inability to close the distance and then punch. And that really is it's really a matter of stepping up. But when you have experience, you know you've stepped up and you know the range of your opponent. The experience, you have the knowledge of when I step up, I'm in range, he's gonna throw this. It's reflexes, it's just knowing the game. And he did not know how to close the distance and then go. He didn't know how to use the jab to create that ability to close the distance. He started using feints at one point, and I said, okay, well, here we go. These feints will help you stop Eubank from using his jab. That'll it'll stop his ability from timing you on your way in. But it just, for those people, because I got a little bothered that people were telling me that you picked wrong. And I was like, well, shit, I know what I know, right? So I know that a shorter fighter can beat a taller fighter. I know how to do that, right? So in my mind, these are what I've figured out Conor's going to do. I spar with Conor. Conor was using the jab when I sparred with him. But again, we're talking about being comfortable, being in the ring with a headgear on, knowing this is 2 or 3 rounds with somebody that I look up to and blah, 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 blah. There's that level of comfort. Right here in this, I didn't see game plan. Only thing I saw was I'm going to knock him out. And I was frustrated on a number of levels, I think, like you. But Antt, to your point, like I probably counted the first. I kept trying to count.
Yeah.
But after about halfway, and it was 3-3, and they were close rounds. I was like, man, this thing is just gonna heat up.
Fight of the year.
And it started heating up and heating up.
Yeah. But you're looking at it like a trainer, like Conor. I know you have more in your tank. You could have did way more last night.
I tweeted that he looked like Hank from Me, Myself, and Irene. When
I thought you was doing a play on the word tank.
No. Go ahead. When Jim Carrey would turn into Hank, he always wanted to fight. And when he would fight, he would do this, but he wouldn't go nowhere, right? He would do this, he'd throw little punches and stuff like that. He wouldn't go nowhere. Conor would take this big loop and then go backwards. He would take this big loop offline and then come backwards. And it was like, you just wasted that energy. You wasted that motion.
He fought a very inefficient fight.
Yeah.
That's what was frustrating about it. You see the speed, you see the power. if you put it together a little
not
bit,
knowing how to use it. Yep, not knowing how to use it. And so, I was trying to be funny.
Eubank's there for the taking for you tonight.
But
he's not at 100%.
Yeah.
But
is that Sanders' fault?
But
is that Billy's fault? Trainer? Who fault is that?
It's always on the fighter,
okay.
and then after that, it's on the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think again, going back to Conor Benn, y'all should have been going to the body from the opening bell.
But you can't do that if you're too far out.
Right, you can't do that if you're too far out. But I didn't see him going to the body till like the 8th or the 9th round.
Yeah,
I mean, legitimately throwing a body shot until the 8th or the 9th round.
Yeah, when he did it by 10 and 11, I was like, well, Eubank can see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
Yeah.
Like that needed,
damn.
you got it.
I'll be talking.
Yeah. He said, let me get some. Yeah. But, and I was like, that weight cut was public. We saw it all. There's no way as a coach, I don't call my fighter. There's no way as a coach, I don't lay back in my bed and tweet and text my fighter like, yo, we going to the body all night. We taking the rest of what he got out of him. Don't worry about the head. We're exclusive to the body for the first 3 rounds. If anything, guess what? Just look, if anything, the first 3 rounds going to the body, now where's Chris Eubank looking? Now what's he expecting? That opens up the head. But, again, lack of preparation, lack of experience, and in that big moment, it was a humongous moment for both those guys. I'm happy that they had that moment, and I think they got another one coming.
Yeah.
As long as Chris doesn't, say, hey, I'm just not fighting no more. Which after a fight like that, why not? You know what I mean? But they got a lot of money to make, and 2 more fight, or at least 1 more fight like this to make happen. But in a rematch, you got to be going to the body if you're Chris Eubank. I'm sorry, if you're Conor Benn, and you got to learn how to close the distance. Call me. And then for Chris,
jab was on point.
Jab was on point.
It has been for the last several fights.
He didn't let that right hand go early. Like early in the fight, I thought he should have been letting that right hand go sooner. And I thought that he started letting it go later in the fight. And again, we're talking about being able to set up punches, holding those punches sets them up later because your opponent doesn't have the pattern of seeing 1-2, the pattern of seeing right hand, left hook, and things like that. So there's multiple ways to set up punches. So
the more experienced guy won last night,
and he said that would be a big factor. Eubank Jr. And Eubank Jr. said he had to be at 60% to beat Conor Benn. I'm not saying he was at 60, 70. He didn't look at 100.
Obviously with weight.
Yeah, so he backed it up.
Does the rematch, we 160, that's it? Because I'm the A side now?
And money talks. Eubank Jr. will probably...
I thought that fight was at 160.
It was.
Yeah.
But Eubank Jr. having won the first fight, I imagine he's going to
I thought he didn't make weight. Hold on. Didn't he?
He missed by 0.05.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was 100,000 a half gram.
Damn! Oh, that's why I thought it was so much. Damn!
Grams get you caught up in boxing.
Damn! And in the streets. In the streets. It's crazy what a gram can do.
It seemed like a small amount.
You can get about 500,000 years off a gram.
He wild for that one.
Yeah, that was a crazy thing. I like it, though.
Can I contextualize some of what was definitely a fun fight?
I don't even know what that word means.
Do whatever the hell you... Yeah. At this point, goddammit.
So people were... Even my man Antt calling it the fight of the year. Perhaps it is. We're young in the year. I can't think of...
I forgot the other one.
I can't... Benavidez Morel was fun, but this was more competitive, consistently.
Go ahead.
But it's... it's funny. Chris Eubank Sr., he said after the fight to my guy, Radio Raheem, he goes, I just don't, because remember, he was hesitant of coming to this fight all along. No one was more critical of the fight than Chris Eubank Sr. because they're 2 weight classes apart. Mm-hmm. He didn't like his son going to antics like slapping an egg across another man's face. We all understand why Eubank feels justified in doing it. Anyways, and so he says to Raheem afterwards, we can't go down this path towards WWE, right? And I think to myself, Chris, brilliant man, Chris Eubank Sr., got a lot of respect for him. He was a bad man. You had by far the biggest WWE moment of the night. When you came in with your son, the announcers turned into Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah,
my God, that's Chris Eubank Sr.
Yeah, he thought about that.
Right.
Only thing would have been better if he walked out first with his son.
Yeah.
They both would just appeared.
Right. So what it is a little bit like I was getting at late last year about Tyson and Jake Paul. Where what does this say about everything? I understand their fathers fought 30 years ago and this is unprecedented in sports. I get that, but I'm not buying that played a major role. But it's the egg slap, it's the antics, it's the drama, it's the WWE bullshit. And Chris Sr. is like, oh, we can't accelerate towards it. I love Chris Sr., but you provided the WWE moment of the night, and your son and Nigel's son were used as instruments to get Turkey further, getting his goal further of monopolizing boxing with TKO Boxing, which owns WWE. Do we get the irony there? Does the audience follow me on that?
But he didn't really know that he was creating that WWE moment, you know?
Right.
He knew it was a moment.
But he also is he's a gentleman's gentleman, you know what I mean? So for him, seeing his son do that, you know, if you know Chris Eubank Sr., if you know his just him, you know that is, my man would probably die before he did something like that, you know. So that was just kind of out of bounds for him, but it created a moment. I mean, like I said, that fight, it took this fight like a month to happen or something like that. And I felt like over here, we felt every single bit of what was going on over there, you know?
No, he's a wonderful man.
And that's how you promote it.
I don't do that. I respect Mr. Eubank Sr.
Yes, sir.
You know what
yes,
I mean?
Sir. Yes, sir.
But it leads me to, I want to ask the audience this. What does it say about us that this is the fight that gets 65,000? It wasn't for a title, and both fighters are talented. They're as flawed as they are talented. They both have gifts of athleticism other fighters don't have. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. They can fight. They showed the world that, and they showed the world their heart and their balls. All credit to them on that. But for me personally, two fights that set my soul on fire much more than this fight. Angelo Leo in his hometown, knocking out Venado Lopez, 4-1 underdog for the title, gets the knockout of the year. Raymond Ford, behind on the cards, fighting for his first ever world title, comes from behind to knock out Klomatov. You know what those two fights have, or the huge contrast is? Those two fights were fought in front of a couple of hundred people, and they didn't receive the kind of fervor that this fight did. This fight was fought in front of 65,000 people with no belt. They fought in front of a couple of hundred people with something really on the line. So that's my point about Eubank Sr. saying we can't continue down this path of WWE. The public is choosing it.
Yeah.
Because when you get a kid, that ain't enough for the public no more. Two hungry kids fighting for the title, winning by knockout.
Yeah.
No. We need two guys who aren't fighting for a title, but they give us all the BS.
That other component that you didn't speak of, obviously two Hall of Fame fathers.
Right.
So that really helped with this. But you're right. Yeah, you're right. The ability to promote that fight the way that it ultimately ended up being promoted is what led to at least half. And half is a little bit more than 30.
30,000 already.
And you get half and you still get probably twice as much, if not 3 times as much, as some of the big fights over here in the States. You know what I mean? So I think that they did a fantastic job promoting the fight. I really didn't think that they missed anything. I think it also proves when there's no belt on the line, these guys aren't the most experienced by far. It proves that if people are connected to what's going on, they're going to tune in. And that's the key over here in the States. The key over here in the States, you got to get people connected to what's going on in the ring on fight night. Y'all watching this, y'all are already connected. Y'all want to see the big fights. Y'all love the big fights. It's about getting, and that's why I always try to use, like we got Omar Miller coming on today. People are connected to Omar. When they find out that Omar's watching all of the fights, they're going to try to tune in and watch the fights that Omar's watching. You know what I mean? You got to get people connected to what's going on in the ring. And when you get people connected to what's going on in the ring, it really doesn't matter who's in the ring, i.e. Jake Paul. I.e. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. You're connected to Mike because of childhood. You're connected to Mike for all of these other reasons. And Jake Paul, you're connected to him since his childhood. You know what I mean? So boxing's got to try to figure out a way to connect the dots for a Jamal Charlo who's coming back soon, for a Caleb Plant who has an amazing story coming soon. He's being in the ring soon, and there's a number of other fighters that you can mention who deserve a big audience like that and would truly perform in front of a big audience like that.
Yeah, I'm just it's tough. It seems like you got to appeal to the lowest common denominator to really get over these days, though. You got to fight a 58-year-old Tyson, or you got to slap another man with an egg, and the dad's got to show up last second. Sometimes I wonder what more needs to be done and should be done. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Like the way fighters are promoted, it's been lackluster for the longest time back when you were fighting.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking is, like, what does the public really want? Like, are they even going to buy Angelo Leo because he's a nice kid and all that? No, probably not.
But the difference of it is, like, that's English boxing.
Yeah.
And English boxing is still, they figured out a way to make sure that boxing survived and thrived the way that it does, you know? Over here in the States, it just kind of happened. I think, again, 100%, and this is just coming off the top right now, but this is what I have said about boxing. Boxing is the bad boy of sports. I've been saying that forever. And I think that boxing got so, like, the boxers outside of the ring got such a bad rap over here that all of these companies, these Nikes and Adidas and all of these liquor companies and all that kind of stuff, they just started to go a different way because it became unsafe to try to promote a fight, and the fighter swings on the other fighter before the fight. Now we don't even know if we're going to get a fight night. You know what I mean? So I just think over here it just got bad for businesses to be involved with boxing, or at least they felt that way. I think that's why they went away from it. Trust me, you get some of these big names back involved with boxing, and that'll help. Because those big names are going to not only promote the sport, but they're going to get other big money people involved. And there's a way to get this thing back rolling over here in the States. They just got to figure it out.
Yeah, it was a good fight. I'm not saying I wasn't captivated. I was.
Yeah,
it was.
Hey, I don't know how we got where we got, but we're there.
Yeah. Is Omar waiting? If he waiting?
No. He left. He'll be back.
See, I thought Omar was waiting.
Yeah, he'll be right back. Yeah.
Is it just our stars, like our top guys in boxing, because you make so much money in one night, 30 minutes, whatever? You feel like you're bigger than a brand deal, a Reebok, a Water. Yeah, you offer me $500,000, $200,000. I made $20 million in 30 minutes.
What's that kid's name we had on here a couple of weeks ago? JYD?
Yeah. Shout
out to JYD. He won his fight the very next week. He won his fight. We kept chatting after we did the show. We kept chatting, and he said, "Sean, I'm trying to get some partnerships through my social media." And he was asking me for advice on how to get partnerships and stuff like that. And okay, be right there. And I told him, gave him some advice and stuff like that. I think it's just a matter of what he's willing to do or wants to do. Fighters aren't turned on to that. Fighters aren't turned on to, let me try to get this Reebok deal. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson. Yeah. He's got a Reebok deal right now. Fighters aren't turned on to.
Shout out to Teo. He's always trying to get a deal. Disney, Essential, Water.
Bud Light.
Yeah,
but if more fighters were doing that and the attraction to boxing came through that, you get other partnerships and big entities getting back involved. We're going to bring on my guy, Big Omar Miller. Like I said before, co-star on the new movie out, Sinners. I'm actually going to see it right after we do the show today.
Okay.
I'm hyped about it. I mean, people been raving about this film.
It's the most talked about movie in America.
What to do, Big O? Say again?
I need to go see it.
Oh, man, y'all sleeping on your boy. That's how y'all do me? Y'all wait till the second weekend?
Stop that.
You see how you do me?
It's been out 2 weeks?
It came out, no, it's been out 1 week.
All right. Leave me alone. I'm going tonight.
Hey, how you know my money, my check as a savings hasn't approved yet, okay? I'm trying to figure that out.
Listen, we had a tutorial. Professor Kugler put out a tutorial that showed you how to watch the film regardless of your budget.
Hey, all right.
I'm here to tell you.
Is that
we're
real?
cooking up something special with this. It's one of the few films that actually lives up and surpasses the hype. I've never been in something so universally well received, honestly.
Wow. I was going to ask you, I had a feeling that this might have been one of the projects that you've done that you felt like this is probably the best project I've been a part of. Is that the case?
It's top tier. I mean, this is right up there with my personal favorites. This is up there with 8 Mile, with Miracle St. Anna. This is up there popularity-wise. I have never been a part of something that's been such a cultural movement and celebrated so much for its cinematic components. Because the movie, if you're a movie person, the movie's beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you're a part of the culture, forget about it. Like, this is something that, like you were just saying, it's the most talked about film in America, low key the world.
Hey, tell us a little bit about the director of the film, Coogler. Tell us a little bit about him.
I couldn't be more impressed with my man. Yeah. Ryan Coogler is a young man who your audience will know that he directed Black Panther. He directed the sequel, Wakanda Forever. He resurrected the Rocky franchise by directing Creed, and by Michael B. Jordan, for your boxing fans, by directing Creed. And he directed a wonderful small film called Fruitvale Station about the murder of Oscar Grant. Now, the young man isn't even 40 years old. And when you see this film, you'll understand why that's a factor, because the movie's deep. It has popcorn movie elements, but it sits on you. And once you leave the theater, this is something you're going to keep thinking about. I promise. Anybody who's seen it, I'm sure they'll jump on the comments. You're going to keep thinking about this film, and that's why people are going back to see it again and again. For you, in this film, was this a film you had to audition for, or was there a role specific to you for this film? Crazy, because both are true. So Hollywood's a funny business. Ryan wrote this directly for me, this role in this piece for me. Ryan came up to me 15 years ago when he was still a student, and I was receiving an award for the war film, Spike Lee's war film, Miracle of St. Anna, at a film festival. And he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, bro, I love your stuff. One of these days we're going to work together." People say that all the time. I'm sure they say it to you guys, and I like to be encouraging. And because who am I? I'm not a dream killer. And so I encouraged him. And next thing I know, he's Ryan Coogler. Yeah. He's like the foremost director of the generation. Yeah. Well, then I get this phone call, 12, 13 years later, that he's got something for me. They asked me to audition, which was bizarre. But because it was him and because he's been so respectful, I was like, yeah, no problem. So I went in the audition. Bro is so humble that when I got there, he apologized. for having you come in and audition. This is part of my job. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like that's part of what I have to do. Yeah. But he's so humble, and this has been the hallmark of my experience with him. He's got to be the person that I know with the most power that has the smallest ego. He is ego-free, and it allows him to get so much done because he's really focused on the work and not himself and his own greatness. So we all run around and talk about his greatness. Because once you see the film, you'll understand. This kid doesn't miss, man. He doesn't miss. Omar, when was it a time reading scripts, shooting a movie? You guys filmed this in Louisiana, correct? Yeah, New Orleans, all around New Orleans. Was it a moment it hit you as like, man, we got one? Yeah, it's funny you say that because it was like you were on set. Okay. There was a period where we were making the movie, and it was a hard movie to make. We were shooting in New Orleans in the summertime. It's burning up hot. I'm Mosquitoes all over the place. And the movie takes place over one day. So the majority of it takes place over one day. So we're hot. There's all kind of chiggers and mosquitoes. Alligators walked on the set. Crazy stuff is happening. And one day I was preparing for a scene, and Michael B came up. He was like, "Oh, come here. I got to show you something." Like, man, I was focused on something. You guys haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak about what it is, but I was focused on something I have to do that's very specific in the film. And he's like, "Come on, man. No, for real." I was like, "All right, man, fine." I'm not the kind of person, I don't like watching myself on screen. I don't like watching myself when we're working. He grabbed me, and the editor put together like 5 or 7 minutes of the footage that we had shot to date. And we were probably about 2 months into filming. And it was captivating. Wow. I mean, it was like crazy footage. The way it looks, the way it sounded, the way we all looked. And I looked at him. I said, "Ooh." I said, you think? He said, we got one.
Yeah.
This one of them ones. He said to Johnny on the spot. Yeah. And it felt like that. And when you see the film, you really understand it's a trippy thing because I actually believe each and every person that comes on camera. And as though that may sound like it's not a big deal, it's a big deal.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I'm highly critical of my own work and of the work that I'm in.
Yeah.
And this one is up to code on every single level that you can ask for. I promise.
Yeah, because the best movies have that. Like, whether it's Baby Boy, Goodfellas, like every authenticity, believability, it matters. So that sounds
It really matters. It really matters. I also think you deserve honorable mention because for the first time in history, somebody has equated Baby Boy with Goodfellas.
Hey,
that's pretty awesome.
Remember John Singleton, Omar, you probably heard the quote. He said that Boys in the Hood and Baby Boy was his Goodfellas in Casino to his...
no.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's pretty impressive. You don't really hear that too often. But you're right. These films have this sort of... The better films, the films that stick with you, the films that you run back, whether it's on DVD or you run back in the theater, whatever, are the kind of movies that you identify with somebody in the movie. Might be 2 lines in a scene or whatever. You see yourself in some way. And what I'm seeing with this picture is, in all honesty, Americans in particular, especially where we are as a country, are seeing themselves and their society all over this film. It's beautiful.
Hey, Omar, I'm from Louisiana, so I go back 2 or 3 times a year. Down there, it's different. Like, there's plantations still around that you can go visit and feel the culture. Did you guys feel like this is the perfect place to shoot this movie because of what you feel when you're around New Orleans?
There's no 2 ways about it. The movie takes place in Mississippi, although we shot in New Orleans. Yeah, my family's from Mississippi, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, there is a feeling to the South that's just soaked in history and culture that you can't get around even if you wanted to. And this isn't something you could have shot on a soundstage. This isn't something that we could have shot in Los Angeles. This needed to be in the South. Yeah. And when you see the film, you'll understand why, because a lot of those elements are in play. But strangely enough, although the film takes place in 1932, it's extremely modern and extremely relevant to today. That's why people are connecting with it. You can't open up social media without seeing something from Sinners.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's a lot of excitement around this film. And like I said, I'm going to see it as soon as we wrap up here. We've seen in the past, and even in recent time too, where movies are connected to a boxing night, a night of boxing promotion. They connected to. Do you feel like this is a fight Sinners should have been connected to? This fight going down next week in Times Square?
Not exactly, but I can see some links. Because we got a lot of this fights coming up this weekend, and not just Times Square. The fights in Saudi, the fights in Times Square, the fights in Vegas. Yeah. It's a big week for boxing. Yeah. And what the movie does, the movie celebrates a community coming together for an event. So in that, there is a connection to how we come together in the boxing community for, hey, it's a Shawn Porter fight. Hey, it's a Canelo fight. It's a Joshua fight, etc.
You said we. I heard you say we. You a part of the boxing community?
Yeah, he be at the fight.
Boxing community. What I'm doing on the podcast?
No, let's jump.
I've seen Omar in some small fights at StubHub. Yeah. He has to be considered part of the boxing community.
Yeah. The district. Hey, your audience will love this because once you see the movie, but it be your own people.
Yeah,
unbelievable. I wouldn't expect it from Shawn.
Hey, well then shoot.
Hey, some of us was in the house, some wasn't.
Hey, I think we know it. Hey, let's jump into it though. Devin Haney coming back against Jose Ramirez. We're gonna start with you, Big O. Tell us your thoughts, Omar, on Haney versus Ramirez.
I think it's a huge fight for Devin's career because I think that when you take the kind of beating that he took, it's critical to get back on the horse, and he's not taking a tune-up. Ramirez is no joke. He's towards the end of his career, but he's still no joke. He's a savvy vet. And I think that this is a fight where Devin can not only regain his confidence fully, but he can show people something. Because we all saw the memes and we see how people are talking crazy about him like he wasn't the champ for a long time and at the highest levels of that group at 35 and then 40. So to me, I like Devin in the fight. I believe that Devin was a real champ. I just think he had a lot to work on. And I hope that he was in the lab working on it, because otherwise Ramirez has a chance to expose those issues.
What's he got to do to beat Ramirez?
Main thing that we've seen that Devin has to do in general is focus on his defense. Devin very rarely is overmatched athletically when he gets into the ring. He's usually the superior athlete. But what we saw against Ryan, and listen, I'm one of the people, I don't know where the pod stands on this one, but I'm one of the people, I don't like juicing and cheating and all of the, I don't care if it was 1/1000th of a milligram and blah, blah, blah. Get out of here with that. It's not supposed to be in that. That doesn't make this is supposed to be, sports are supposed to be where the playing field is level and everything is fair. So all of the stuff that surrounded that entire fight last year, I didn't care for personally. I didn't like where they went talking about they wanted to kill each other and kill somebody's mama, and all that's completely unnecessary, and it was all low class. And, you know, Derek James is my man, and Derek trains Ryan, and you could see how he helped Ryan. In this fight, we're going to see if Devin went in the lab and was prepared to start blocking and slipping all those shots that he was getting caught with, and that he's willing to box like he was against Lomachenko, and willing to box for 12 and not get caught up in the weight bully thing, not get caught up in trying to make a statement. He just really needs to focus on doing what he does well, which is move, box, and be accurate.
Yeah, now I think we all looking forward to this one. I say Devin Haney just has to be Devin Haney.
Yeah.
If I'm coming out to Roy Jones, y'all must have forgot.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of disrespect acting like Devin Haney ain't Devin Haney.
Yeah.
And I think if he gets in the ring and just do his thing, stay on the jab, best jab in boxing.
It's gotten away from that a little bit. Yeah.
You don't got... F us, forget proving to us how tough you are. You can take a shot, you can knock somebody out. Beat Devin Haney.
Yeah, you got to grow into sitting down on shots and getting in there with somebody and doing the things that he tried to do a lot of the fight with Ryan Garcia. And you guys remind you, every time they had an opportunity to speak, Ryan said the same thing. Meet me in the center of the ring. Every single time they had an opportunity to say something to one another. And what did Devin ended up ultimately doing? Every single round went to the middle of the ring. Get back on your movement. Get back on your speed. Use that jab and box your way to a victory.
Beautiful.
Look good doing it. And just like Floyd at the back end of his career, they don't like it, but they can't stop it. Go ahead, Zittel.
Yeah, and in trying to become a more complete fighter, I think Devin and Bill kind of got over infatuated with their mechanics of sitting down on certain shots. And it was almost like, we got the jab. It's in the tool belt. Like, you know, it's there. And they've gotten away from that jab a little bit. I think the last fight he really, really, really stuck to the jab was the first Kambosos fight. And that was the easiest fight he's had in years. And then in fight number 2, Kambosos made some adjustments. It was he still dominated, but it was a rougher fight. Because Devin, to his credit, I remember when he would spar you, and one of the first things I asked him, I said, I felt like once you saw my camera there, you wanted to turn up. You wanted to get some action. He goes, yeah, I did. Yeah. And so you got to give him credit. People criticize Shakur. They feel like he doesn't take enough chances. Devin's been trying to give people what they want, sometimes a little bit to his detriment by sitting down on power shots a little bit too much. But I think he's the story of the night. I think the main event is the fireworks, the fun. You're going to get a knockout, Ryan and Rolly. The opener.
Slow down, goddammit, slow down.
No, yeah.
I want to add one thing to that, though, because don't sleep. Devin used that jab to devastating effect against Regis Prograis.
He did. He did. And I'm mistaken.
That set up a lot of shots off that jab.
Yes.
And I'll say this.
That's the Devin we got to see in this fight, is the Prograis Devin.
Because ain't nobody talking about Jose Ramirez like he ain't getting in the ring. So I'm going to go ahead and say he's a 2012 Olympian, right?
Yes.
Coming out of the Olympic Games, I know we're a long way from 2012, but he was considered to be the most fundamentally sound fighter coming out of the Olympic Games. I think that he and I was thinking about this on my way coming here. I think he hit a ceiling much quicker, much sooner than a lot of people expected him to. And I think, that big loss he took against Taylor, I think that did something to his ego. I think this is the kind of fight, the kind of moment, the kind of opportunity, and a moment where he's been overlooked now because we all feel like, we all think, or it seems as if he's hit that ceiling. It's time for him to bust out the ceiling. And when you talking about somebody that was 2012 Olympian, was the best in his country, has been there before, knows what it feels like to fight against the best, my man might be coming out the ceiling on fight night, and this thing might be that 50-50 I'm always talking about.
but I'm here to tell you, listen, you heard that's what I led off with. Jose Ramirez is real. He's towards the end of his road, but he has all the stuff that comes with you when you're towards the end of your road. Mm-hmm. All of the experience, all of the stuff that comes along with you. So I don't think you can count him out. I actually want to give kudos to Golden Boy for putting this card on. This card is stacked. Yeah. All three of these fights actually should be decent fights.
Well, they had to get paid, so.
Hey, what can you do?
The fight.
Now, what are they doing? I got a question for y'all, because I've been reading about how there's only going to be a limited number of people at the actual fight. They're trying to tailor it for television.
I don't know. Antt won't be there. So.
Yeah, I won't be there, so I'm going to be watching Sinners.
It's going to be... fight is going to be...
You guaranteed good entertainment.
So the fight's going to be in Times Square, so I'm more than likely because of emergency logistics and things of that nature, they had to figure this thing out. I'm assuming that's what it was, but I think it's going to hit on the pay-per-view as well as right there live in color with goddamn taxis driving right here.
350 VIPs? Did anybody make that? Shawn Porter, Omar, Sean? I didn't make it.
I didn't apply.
I mean, clearly, I'm not even in the boxing community, according to Sean, so I wasn't good. My movie's big now, so maybe I get a call. They want to roll me out there, but
I'm sensitive to the word
apparently
we.
I fell off.
Every time I hear the word we, I'm sensitive to the word we.
Dang, he do you like that?
I'm out here speaking French when it comes to the community. It's we.
Hey, Omar, he doing you like that? Like y'all not about to win an Oscar? He doing you like that? Like y'all ain't about to win it all?
Do me like that. We'll see what Sean is talking about after we sweep the awards. We see how he talk after that.
I'm with it.
Hey, he gonna want to invite to the party.
Talk about the awards. We see how he's talking in about 3 hours when he gets out the movie.
Oh yeah,
I can't even keep a charge in my telephone.
I'm gonna hit you up.
Everybody that I know that watches the movie, it has a mesmerizing effect where you have to speak about it afterwards. Wow. You're gonna see. That's all I'm saying.
I love it.
Hey, Omar, he's getting into acting now. So if you got a role with a boxer getting knocked out, that's your guy.
Boy, this podcast is ice cold. Why you gotta get knocked out?
I'm just saying.
Omar familiar. He ain't seen the skills yet, but he familiar.
Okay.
He familiar. Hey, yo, let's move on real quick because I want to be. This fight is either gonna be
I gotta get one more about Haney. I was just finished thought. I was gonna finish thought.
Go ahead.
I just think like I was just saying, Ryan and Rolly, that's the fireworks. You're gonna get a knockout. Barboza, that's the biggest chance for an upset on paper out of the 3 fights. But I really think Haney and how he returns.
Slim work.
I just think Haney and how he returns is the most substance of the night.
Absolutely.
That's the story of the night.
Absolutely.
Like Omar said, he was the undisputed lightweight champion, the youngest ever in the 4-belt era in men's boxing.
Yeah. If the newspapers were still big, everybody would be ringside ready to write about how Devin looks opposed to anything else that could happen on fight night. I see that.
Because I like Omar, I think he can't lose this fight if he keeps it in the center of the ring. Yeah. Ramirez has to get him to the ropes. That's where he does his combinations. But the big intrigue in this fight is, what do we get from Devin Haney? Does he come back the same, stronger than ever?
Yeah.
Or
those PTSD?
So, exactly. You never know how a guy's going to respond after that sort of event, that sort of trauma. For some people, the trauma is too much.
Yeah. Right. I don't foresee that for Devin, but I was wrong the other night, so I could be wrong. I don't see that for but this next one can be either one of the best fights of the night, or it's gonna be a snooze fest. I really want to know. I want y'all bet. So if it's gonna be hot or cold, but Teofimo Lopez getting in the ring against Arnold Barboza Jr. Go ahead, all.
You know what? Teofimo has a lot to prove, because even though he broke out first out of that lightweight group, when he beat Lomachenko, when Lomachenko was super Loma, high tech. From that point, his career got derailed not only by the Kambosos loss, but then by fights where he either didn't look great or the fight was irrelevant. He's retiring, blah, 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 blah. So now being on this card in and of itself, I think says a lot about Teofimo's attitude.
Yeah.
Because he's not the main event. He's not the one trying to sell the pay-per-view. He's right here. I think he's planning to make a statement. And I think that he's planning to then line himself up for some real big fights, because whatever it was, whether it was contractually, promotionally, or whether it was the personal relationship problems that he was having, something derailed this young man's career. And when he's at his best and he's explosive, he's must-see TV.
Yeah.
So I think that on this card, again, we're looking at a situation where there's another guy in Teofimo who has something to prove. And Barboza is there like, actually, I've been doing this work.
Yeah.
And guess what? This is my shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to have eyes on me, and I'm going to try for this upset city.
Yeah. I believe that Teofimo should be coming to the ring with the mindset that I'm supposed to be the main event tonight. And I think if it were me, and again, if I was coaching him, I would be coaching him to make sure you make such a big splash in that ring on fight night that the rest of the night is dry. You have to be so big and explosive and mean and everything, every movement, everything that you do. You can't be waiting on the perfect punch against Arnold Barboza, because Arnold's waiting on the perfect punch. And I've got a feeling they're both going to be waiting on the perfect punch. And I think it's going to be the crowd getting both these guys going. But if it were me, I would be walking to the ring, not feeling disrespected, just feeling like, okay, you did something wrong on fight night. After I get out the ring, y'all going to want to go home, you know? So what you got, Antt?
Just Teofimo. Anytime I count him out, he comes in and he's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
When I think he's Michael Jordan, he comes in, he's Tony Kukoc. That's a big difference, okay? That's a big difference. And he's still hooping, but he ain't Mike. But Teofimo, man, he has to come in and just be the man that we know you can be.
Yeah.
Just be who. It's like he's in the ring literally trying to find himself doing the fight.
Yeah.
I just wish he could find himself outside the ring.
Well, it's funny you say that, because interesting you say that. It seems like the fights where he was supposed to game plan, Lomachenko, the Josh Taylor fight, those fights specifically where he knew he needed the game plan and really got up and ready for those fights. The other fights where they like we said before, they're kind of like no-name guys, or maybe guys he ain't got a lot of footage on, or whatever the case may be. He's been dry. This one right here, I still feel like it's hit or miss. I got a feeling he gonna have to turn up for New York. He got to turn up for New York.
He's in New York. He's got to turn up in New York.
He got to turn up for New York.
That is where the Kambosos loss happened.
I know.
And he already had the health issues. It wasn't just, you know what I mean? Because he had a lot of problems. And then there was all the talk about, as this panel will certainly understand, his relationship with his father. Yeah. And what it was that did to and for his career. Yeah. You know, and whether or not he needed to separate from his father and go with another trainer to actually hone his skill to another level. To me, Teofimo's issue is always between his ears. Yep. And I think ability-wise, he's explosive. He's there. But as we all know, for any sport, if you don't have it together between your ears, it doesn't matter what you can do physically.
I think he needs to realize when you're in that ring, Sean, you probably know when you're in the ring, that's your therapy. Got to let everything else go. And I know he's dealing with one of them crazy ones when they're talking about our babies. He mentioned it on here. Yeah. That's a hard one to let go. Yeah. But when you get in that ring for 12 rounds, we just need to lock in and be Teofimo Lopez that we know you can be.
You know what's interesting? I'll give you guys this perspective. It's like you got X amount of time to handle family. Yeah. You got X amount of time to handle business, right? And then even in a camp, you can still handle family and you can still handle business. But the closer you get to the fight, and I'm not talking about 2 weeks out, 1 week out. I'm talking 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, 6 weeks out. That family has to start to kind of trickle away. That business has to start to trickle away. And I actually been teaching my boys about tunnel vision lately. You ask Pooh Bear what tunnel vision means. He'll say, when you can only see what's in front of you. But you have to get this tunnel vision. And it's like, I love you. I'm going to come back for you. Yeah. The only way I can come back for you is if I get this done correctly, right? And you're right. It becomes therapy. It becomes, I got to get this done and I got to do it right so I can get back to get that done and get that right. You know what I mean? So it really is, it's this juggling thing, right? But the closer you get to a fight, and like I said before, I'm talking 5 or 6 weeks out, it becomes just boxing. Just boxing. And the closer you get, it's just boxing. And it's, I know I got you over there, but I got you. You know what I mean? So it's a funny thing. I feel like every other athlete has been able to figure that out, but boxers have a hard time trying to juggle life and in the ring, you know? Go ahead, Zittel.
Well, one thing though, a lot of it, like I agree about all the psychological stuff about Lopez, but some of it is physical. It's styles.
Yeah.
Lomachenko and Taylor, they're two aggressive southpaws. They get their best work done mid-range, close range. It's the rangy guys that move on the back foot that give Lopez problems. Kambosos threw him off with that in and out a little bit. Sandor Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, like the book is out. So I don't always believe in Teofimo's ability to adjust or the ability to cut the ring off. But one thing I do believe in is his talent. He is a very special talent in the ring. I just expect, again, Barboza has that intelligent footwork to give Teo some real fits, but I just expect Teo's talent to find a way. To find a way, even if it doesn't look good. Even if it is like the Sandor Martin and Jermaine Ortiz fights. And I think that Barboza woke him up a little too soon. I think, I think like sometimes you let sleeping dogs lie. And then sometimes you don't tug on Superman's cape. And I think once Lopez smacked him in New York, he changed the play a little bit. Barboza was working up a head of steam and psychologically, and Lopez gave him a y'all must have forgot moment right there. Like, hey, I'm still Teo. I'm Teo. So I just expect his talent to find a way to prevail, but it might not look good if he doesn't adjust and use his IQ and just,
I just think for Barboza, the fight doesn't look good if he wins this fight. He's not overly aggressive. He's not very aggressive at all. He's a kind of fighter who's always looking for the perfect punch, but he doesn't release the punch with a lot of accuracy. Doesn't release the punch with a whole lot of speed or tenaciousness and all of those like key ingredients that it would take to beat somebody like Teofimo Lopez. So I think that if he beats Teo, it's gonna be a really dry, boring fight. I hate to say it about Arnold, but Arnold has.
He'll pick his spots, though.
He has picked his spots, especially in his last fight.
In this fight, I think he'll pick his spots if
he's got to pick his spots.
Yeah.
And he ain't no punk. That's the good thing about this fight.
That's what he's going to let Teo know at some point.
Yeah, that's the good thing about this. The good thing about this is while he's trying to counter punch and find the perfect punch and be in perfect range and distance and all these things, it's like he misses all of these opportunities. To your point, he's picked that up and he's been able to find more opportunities and kind of like make them. You know, he's been able to find moments to make them. If he's able to do that against Teo, he's got to be ready for the comeback. On the other side of that, Teo got to go in order to really get off on Arnold.
And I know when I say this, he's technically the only undefeated fighter on the card.
Barboza?
Go ahead.
I think it's critical for Teo to come into this fight like this is the pinnacle of his career.
Yeah, has to.
And what we've seen is that sometimes he gets that and sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah.
And if he win and if he comes in like this is the last and most important fight of my career, he's very tough to handle.
Yes. Ryan versus Rolly.
Ryan and Rolly.
Everybody thinks it ends with a KO. What say you, Shawn Porter?
Fight of the night. What say you, Big O?
Okay, what say him?
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say something that could be kind of wild.
Okay.
I don't think anybody on the card has a great chin.
Oh.
I think Barboza probably has the.
Barboza
may have the
so
best
far
chin
away
on
from.
the card.
I love it.
Low key.
What the hell?
And Rolly and Ryan, I don't think
Ramirez had one.
Ryan has a great chin.
Before,
I think Ryan. Say it again. I'm sorry.
Ramirez had one.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Ramirez had one. But, it got checked a few times, and we know how they loosen up.
Right.
Now, one thing that's trippy to me is that if we go back to that Haney-Garcia fight, Haney actually won every round that he didn't get knocked down in.
Yep.
Yes.
That doesn't get talked about enough.
Yep.
Yep.
What was lost in all the chaos, it was actually a great fight. They actually
It was
delivered.
actually a great fight. It was actually a great fight.
It just was the jaw was dropped so far out. It was like, what?
He actually didn't get knocked out. He got up 4 times.
Showed crazy heart in that fight. Yeah.
So, which brings me to Rolly and Garcia. To me, both of these dudes are subject to a knockout. They're both suspect when it comes to their chin. Because of the faith that I have in Derek James, and I think that the wisdom that he's been able to impart upon Ryan, we've seen progress in Ryan's fights since he's been with Derek that make him more fundamentally sound. Because prior to working with Derek, I always felt like Ryan had extremely slow feet for somebody with such fast hands, which is a weird combo when that happens. Now he seems to move a little bit better. I'm interested to see how he comes out. He hasn't fought in a long time. There's going to be ring rust. But, and from what everybody says that fights him, Rolly's got, a cast on, basically. They say he hits so hard. I'm not saying that in any sort of accusatory way. I mean that as a compliment. He hits hard. I don't want that to come off the wrong way. So I expect the fireworks. In all honesty, this is the fight I'm least excited about on the card.
And that's the main event.
Yeah,
I think when he breaks it down, that's probably the least exciting. But we know what we're gonna get. Somebody's gonna get knocked out. I'm leaving 75% to Ryan Garcia. I think Ryan Garcia is a little more skilled than Rolly. A little more talented.
I think he's a lot more skilled than Rolly.
Yep. Rolly has not been the same Rolly since Tank Davis.
Yes.
That Rolly makes this a great fight.
Yes.
If that Rolly come out, that he actually, I think, and I might be crazy, I think I had him up in that fight until he wasn't up.
Yeah.
But I think if that Rolly shows up, that's a good fight. Shout out to PBC between him and Pitbull. You're the MVPs on that roster because they stay in the fight. Win, lose, or draw. PBC keep him in the fight, but I'm going with fourth round knockout, Ryan Garcia.
Dang, what you guys tell?
Well, on a personal level, I actually love Rolly. He lives out here in Vegas, so it brings me no joy to pick Ryan Garcia by knockout. And I'd be
don't pick him.
I got to keep it real, right? I got and probably due to the nature of the styles in brutal highlight reel fashion, because just the nature of how they open up and their styles. I think if Rolly though comes like Antt's talking about, because Rolly was at his best even a little bit before the Tank fight. Mm-hmm. He was at his best as just an uncouth, disrespectful, no respect at all for who is in front of him.
Old school boxer.
And Rolly is a talented fighter because he had no business starting boxing at 17, going into gyms throughout Vegas and whooping world champions' ass.
Name somebody whoop.
Seen him. I won't do that, but some of it's on YouTube. Some of the, he had a sparring session where he's giving it to Ugas, I believe, on YouTube, and
Ugas almost beat Shawn.
So didn't he?
So he was, but ever since that Tank fight, and actually right before that Tank fight, Rolly's been maturing outside the ring. Rolly's actually a deep thinker. Rolly likes the stock market. He's become like in Rocky 3 when Mick says the worst thing could happen to you, you got civilized. Rolly is civilized these days. And if he comes in like the old Rolly with no respect for Ryan Garcia, like when they were teenagers, he has the definition of a puncher's chance. When they talk about a puncher's chance, they're talking about a fighter like Rolly. Oscar De La Hoya, he made an apt comparison. He said this is going to be Ryan's De La Hoya Mayorga. And that might be a good comparison by Oscar. I got Ryan. Ryan's extremely talented. The question for kind of like we're talking about with Devin, what does Devin look like after that hellacious fight? What does Ryan look like passing a drug test and making weight? Is he still, because if he looks as great as he did, Right? You know, because if he looks like the same guy from a year ago, then you got to give credit to him. Like, he's just a bad boy, and he's not weight drained anymore. So the boxing game's got to look out, because here comes Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
If he takes a step down, that's going to open the door for kind of like Conor Benn had to face going the distance twice after he got popped for PEDs as well. Well, what's real and what's not.
Right.
So I think Ryan wins by knockout. I'd be happy for Rolly if he proves us all wrong and gets it done. But I got to give it to Ryan.
Fight at 147. No one's talking about that.
The fight is at 147.
Right. I think Ryan's going to look good.
Is this Rolly's first fight at 147?
Yeah.
I was actually gonna say some of what you just said about Rolly before you went into that. This is the only thing I'm gonna say. Rolly, it's funny, for as much as he's been through in the ring and the hardships that he's had in the ring in front of everybody, he still shows up at all the fights. He still shows up with a smile on his face. He still shows up with
Rolly
great
loves
energy.
being Rolly.
Huh?
Rolly loves being Rolly.
Yeah.
And that's big.
Yeah. And you know, that's big as a fighter, because a lot of times all of this talk and podcasting and reporters and stuff like that, all that can weigh you down. You don't hear it a lot. You don't hear it in the gym. Other fighters ain't talking about you, and the coaches ain't talking about you or nothing like that. You don't even go visit a gym and they talk about you in a different gym. You know what I mean? But you just hear so much of it, and I can tell that Rolly hasn't cared about any of that. Here's my point with saying all that. Go back to not caring. You didn't care who was in front of you before. You didn't care what you looked like before. You didn't care which hand you knocked him out with before. Go back to not caring. If my man at 147 pounds goes back to not caring and just says, even if he says, this is my last one, I'm going out the way I want to go.
Even if I get knocked out.
My man might actually do something.
Right.
My man might actually do something.
Do you think he will show up like that?
I don't think he'll show up like that.
Because it's a lot to ask.
I think he's civilized now, to your point. I think he's calculated. I think he was always calculated outside of the ring. We just didn't know it. He's become calculated in the ring. He's overthinking himself. He's super careful now
Because he knows what can happen?
because of that back. Because of what comes on the back end of what he does on the front end. And I think that that one fight, it only takes one time for it to leave such a scar that you can't come back from. The difference between a Rolly and a Devin Haney is Devin has so much experience and so many things that he can call on and rely on that it's okay. He's going to be able to get his feet wet against a Jose Ramirez that doesn't cut off the ring very well and isn't overly aggressive and things of that nature. He'll be able to get his feet wet and get comfortable in the ring and operate the way that he used to. If I'm Rolly, be you and get it done. I have this 80-20 for Ryan. I think that fight ends in the knockout. I think that Ryan's gonna knock him out, but I would if I could dictate which Rolly was showing up, I dictate that and I bet on Rolly, because what I want Rolly to do is just simply say, I don't care which hand I knock you out with. Put him up. You remember how he used to be.
Yeah, man.
Put him up and let's go.
And he has some gifts. His speed and power. I mean, you heard Gervonta say that's the best puncher I ever been with. Fighters say that tend to big up the guys they beat more than guys that give them trouble. But I've seen Rolly in the gym, and people would laugh when I go, he's actually one of the most gifted fighters I ever seen. Yeah. Not anywhere near the most technically proficient, but
I think you're seeing what he could be.
Yeah.
And a lot of fighters are seeing everything that he isn't.
Right.
And probably we know how long it takes to get who you become, who you could become.
He started at 17.
Yeah. So last one. William Scull, who Antt is given a chance to, so we gonna let Antt kick this one off.
Man.
Canelo Alvarez.
I didn't know nothing about this guy, and then I watch a little tape. I said, oh, he moves.
Yeah.
What Canelo have a problem with? Movers. No one's talking about this guy. If there's 3 fights next weekend, if there's one that people won't buy, it's the Canelo one.
If they won't buy
one, if
because
there's one,
they're not connected to William Scull.
Who the hell is William Scull?
Yeah,
the IBF champion.
Yeah,
They felt like he was gifted the title.
He's a quiet champion.
What is this guy? What is he?
Cubano, but he's a German citizen, but Cuban by descent.
Okay,
yeah.
So I just think it'll be a tough night for Canelo. He's not going to stand there to be punched in the face.
But he's a complete Cuban. He's from Cuba.
Yeah.
He just defected and is in Germany now.
Yep.
He has a chance. Chance I'm giving him.
Everybody got a chance, right?
Everybody
25, 30%. If he beats it, he costs my man Terrence Crawford millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I think I'm pulling for him to get knocked out more than anything, but I think he's going to be moving. If you can get Canelo frustrated, he would almost quit in the 8th and 9th round, where he'll just put his back on the ropes and if I can't get you, I can't get you. I seen that against Bivol.
Bivol just
if you could,
with the difference though, with he just got to a point where he knew there was nothing that could be done.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not looking at the same kind of titan.
He had no gas.
Yeah. But he's not looking at the same kind of titan in this one. This guy is tall, is lean, but he's not a big. Yeah, he's slick. Slick as shit.
Obviously, I mean, this is years ago, but Lara, we know Floyd Mayweather. I think he has gifts that give Canelo trouble. At the end of the day, I think Canelo gets him out of here, but I think we got to get the fight's going to be better than what I'm going to say. Watch the fight, guys. I think we might be surprised and might get a good fight. If we go to the scorecards, you're going to get robbed. It is what it is, but hey, yeah, he could be winning 7-5. He's going to lose 8-4. Okay, we got to get Crawford, Canelo, in Vegas, and Omar Miller's walking Terrence Crawford out.
Said what?
Wow.
The hell did he just say?
In Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, September 21st, Omar Miller's walking Terrence Crawford out. Okay,
we'll work on that.
I think Crawford's going to stick with my pal walking him out because it's working out well with Eminem.
Oh, yeah.
Your co-star from 23 years ago.
All that being said, for me, Canelo has in recent history made a killing off of fighting people that he has some clear advantage over. Mm-hmm. Back when we were doing the Ozone podcast, we were the first to call him out for ducking. Everybody was mad at us. They thought we were Canelo haters. It's been exposed at this point. Yeah. One thing I'll give Canelo credit for is that he always comes ready to fight, no matter who it is that is there to fight. He's not giving passes. Mm-hmm. That's what he's not doing. Mm-hmm. He's a champion. The lights are not too bright for Canelo Alvarez ever, which I always appreciate from any athlete. I don't know much about William Scull, but I feel like if they made the fight, he must have some clear advantages that he feels like over Scull. And I don't anticipate this to be anything but another sparring type thing for Canelo, not as a disrespect to Scull, but because everybody seems to come in and do the same thing. Everybody says what they're going to do and they're ready and blah, blah, blah. And then when the bell rings, we see people turn into Canelo fans into the ring. We see the fact that they're so happy to be there and that they got their payday, that they're going to play their role in this thing, as opposed to kind of like what you were just talking about, Sean. And if you're Rolly and saying, you know what? Hey, man, if you're going to knock me out, but I'm going for mine. Because we've seen him fight guys, going back to Canelo, we've seen him fight guys who in theory have the tools to beat him, but they are starstruck, and his skill set then in turn complements their starstruck level that then he puts it on. It's a very, I know that kind of sounds weird, but I think you guys dig what I'm saying. Yeah. When we saw him fight Bivol wasn't starstruck. Yeah. Bivol didn't have an excess of respect for Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Bivol had never lost, and he's thinking to himself, why should I lose? I'm the champ. Yeah. And we don't usually see that. We saw it with Charlo. We've seen it with all of the champs that he cleaned out at 68. We see that he still didn't have any interest in fighting David Benavidez. And so there's a reason he's fighting William Scull. Nothing would make me happier than to wake up and to hear that there was an upset in the desert. But I have respect for Canelo not allowing that to happen.
All that said, I'm going to go real quick, Zittel. All that said, though, William Scull is cut from the Cuban cloth. They don't give a damn who you are.
6 foot.
They are, like, I refer to them as machines. And I used to always hate when people would talk about the Cuban fighters. I'm like, all right, yeah, come on. But I've watched them. I've studied them. They truly are machines. I've said this before. They're very what's the word that I used before? They're very systematic. Whatever they do that. You can't stop them from doing what they do. You have to force them to get away from what they do so very well. And some of them, most of them, are so strong mentally, again, and being locked in at what they do well. Styles make fights. William Scull has the perfect style to beat Canelo Alvarez. He's not going to come into the ring and not be William Scull. What it's going to take is Canelo doing something that he hasn't done in a very long time, which is actually step up, put that foot on the gas pedal, and keep it on the gas pedal. If he does not do that, you will wake up to him having a upset loss in the desert, as you just said, Big O, because William Scull has size, has power, has speed, is Cuban. He's a southpaw, if I'm not mistaken. He might be a switch hitter.
All Cubans are southpaws.
he might be a switch hitter, but he's.
I think he is.
Is he orthodox?
Boxrec says orthodox.
He is orthodox. He is orthodox. But he's, like I said, he's very systematic. And the thing that does get them off of that is hitting them hard. So, but Canelo's got to be able to step up and take those chances and hit them hard. Not be too patient. Not be the experienced fighter. I'll catch up to you eventually. The rounds will go. And then the thing that Canelo isn't able to do now, because of the mileage that he's got on him, is turn it up. He's got to actually come to the ring with it turned up and fight there. And as it turns down, he's already pulled a lot out of his opponents. That's what he's not doing now. He's coming into the ring trying to turn it up, and he can't turn it up no more. So he's got to come to the ring with it already turned up, and pull it away from his fighter. That way, as he starts to decline, his opponent does too.
Come on, give us something.
What'd you say, 75?
Yeah, 75.
I'll go 70-30. I'll go 70-30.
Wow, you got given. I need to get fresh on Skull's ability.
70-30 Canelo.
Chance against a guy with the best chin in boxing that, even though he always cherry picks, still comes to fight is actually pretty high.
Yeah, 70-30. 70-30 Canelo.
Well, Canelo, like Omar was talking about, outside of the Bivol fight, they pretty much had a very similar pattern from Callum Smith, Jermell Charlo, even Berlanga for about 9 or 10 rounds before Berlanga did settle down late in the game, in that fight.
Yeah.
He backs guys up pillar to post and disarms them, and they have little resistance. A lot of it is because Canelo's excellent. He has one of the best front foot defenses in boxing history. Mm-hmm. Only a few other guys come to mind when I think about guys marching forward and being that slick. He's up there. And then the precision and all that stuff. So giving credit to Canelo, who we all know is a great fighter. One thing I worry about with him, though, in this is he flat? Is it because I think this has some motivation? Yeah, he's made so much money. He's not going to be fighting in front of his people in this fight. You know, that always...
Well, he's not flat from that standpoint because he's got a goal. His goal is to be the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. So I think that's enough to keep him, like you said, with all the money that he has made. He's not flat from that standpoint.
No, I know. He's out in Tahoe still going in ice baths. Yeah. You know, I have none of his million, and I'm not getting in an ice bath. So he's a savage. I get it. Like he's still always in shape. Never gets fat in between fights.
He's a disciplined fighter. There's no two ways about it.
He's a true preach, and I agree with Omar. I mean, you preach to the choir about ducking Benavidez, but you know, on we go. Yeah. But I still wonder about it because, like Antt said, motivation. He's making a lot of money. He's making a lot of money, and the money's all guaranteed probably in these 4 fights with Turkey, win or lose.
Oh, no doubt.
And fighting a long ways from home, the crowd's going to be flat compared to what he's used to. When that Mexico Lindo or El Rey comes on, it's not going to be the same pop behind him.
Yeah, getting ready for that.
And Scull might, with his movement and size as being a natural super middleweight coming from the Cuban school, he might do enough just to not make him look good. Mm-hmm. And that's enough. That's enough to put a dent. This is supposed to be a commercial for Canelo Crawford. Mm-hmm. Now that I think about it, you know, Oscar De La Hoya had a commercial fight against Felix Sturm from Germany, an undefeated, unheralded title holder who really probably beat Oscar De La Hoya. But you got to get out the way, Felix Sturm. We got to do this De La Hoya Hopkins. So you never know. You never know in this sport. But I just think Canelo's Canelo. I do wonder, though, over almost about 70 fights, all the hundreds of millions in the bank, fighting a long way away from home against a guy who's not supposed to be a threat, does he look flat? And if he does look flat, I still think he gets the job done because he's a great fighter. That's just what I wonder about him heading into this. So we'll see.
What's the percentage?
80, 20, 90, 10 Canelo.
Okay.
There you go. I'm with you on this one. And this is you coming from somebody who's obviously not the biggest Canelo fan, but I got to respect what he does.
Yeah.
Now, I got something you guys aren't even talking about, though, which is a trip, which is the undercard on that. You see, your boy Martin Bacoli is back after stepping in.
Already?
And he's back against Hafey, who for a long time, Hafey was like the hardest hitting dude in boxing.
Yeah.
Until he caught an L, and I don't know if he's been back in the ring since, but that's a thumper's fight. If there's a fight on that card that I want to watch, it's that one.
We got a lot of fights we missed.
Heavyweights.
Hey, shout out to Omar, because there's a lot of good fights on that card.
Damn.
That's disrespectful.
Jack is on the card?
McGill,
what are we talking about?
Jack?
But I'm not in the boxing community, right? Okay. Okay.
Hey, let it go, goddammit. Let it go. Let it go.
Okay.
Hey, before...
Right. I mean, from the outside of the community looking in, there seems to be a lot to cover. Let's just put it like that.
Whatever. Hey, real quick, before we get out of here, do you want to mention anything about the project you've been working on?
Nah, not yet.
Okay.
But very shortly, I'm gonna want to use your platform to show it to people.
Oh, come on now. You know that's gonna happen.
Put it together.
Stop playing. You know that's gonna happen. I'm gonna bootleg the movie.
We can mention it.
I'm gonna bootleg the movie and bring it in here too.
We're working on a piece that can shake things up in boxing.
Yeah.
And just keep an eye on us in the space, because we had a lot of people participate, and there's a lot of people that have a lot to say about the state of boxing.
Yeah.
Hey, Omar, before you get out of here, I'm overdue to get my man back to New Orleans with me. I'm going back in a couple of weeks, actually.
I thought you was gonna say
a couple of weeks. You got a couple of restaurants that you love from out there? Because you know me, I'm a Louisiana guy. I got Giacomo's, Manchu. Shout out to Manchu, and it's in the hood.
Shout out to Giacomo's. Giacomo's is delicious.
Giacomo's, Sean.
I heard about Giacomo's.
Yeah, I got to get you into Giacomo's.
Delicious. But let me lay one on you. That was my favorite when I was down there. An Ethiopian family-owned restaurant called Addis, in Addis Ababa. Go to Addis. Addis is delicious. There's also, if you want some calories, because New Orleans is good for calories, and you want some, they actually have a bomb pizza spot called Margot's. I got a spot. I got all kind of spots. I send them to you, but that's a couple for your audience to get blessed with.
Yeah, but we'll let you know if you down there when we down there. Man, I'm taking Sean on the food tour. He won't be coming back from boxing after all this food.
He's gonna be a heavyweight for real. He's gonna be one of these super heavyweights.
So here we go, real quick. I'm gonna let you and Zittel and Big O, I'm gonna let them cook. Okay, I'm gonna let them cook a little bit. We got newly to the boxing family. Big O, go ahead, give us your thoughts. God damn it! On Naoya Inoue making his appearance.
You tell me, Tay, do you believe that Inoue is the pound for pound best in the world?
Terrence Crawford still for me.
Man, the kid is lights out. If he ain't one,
he's lights out.
If he ain't one, he two.
He's right there.
Yeah, you got to go. I mean, it's right there.
Really, honestly, at this point, though, listen, and Bud, no, I love him, and I think that
B-ball, like that whole top group. The only problem I have with Crawford is he just doesn't fight often enough.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
He beats people up. There ain't no two ways about that. But I need you to beat people up all the time.
Yeah,
and Inoue beats people up all the time. And like people who are not trucks. He's beating up world champion, undefeated fighters in different weight class and walking through them.
Yeah.
This kid is so impressive.
Yeah.
And we get to see him, I think for the first time, fight on U.S. soil this Sunday, correct? Against Cardenas.
Third time. This will be his third fight here in this state.
First big fight.
Be his fourth.
First big fight.
Because I think he's
been the man.
Yeah. Well, no, he headlined in 2021 back in June against Das Marinas, Filipino fighter.
But there was no crowd.
He had one during the pandemic too.
He did. Again, so he fought Maloney. He fought on an HBO Superfly card. He fought Das Marinas in 21. So this is his fourth fight in the States.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All of them basically on the West Coast. 2 in Los Angeles, 2 here in Las Vegas. Or 3. No, 3 in Vegas, 1 in LA.
Yeah. 3 in Vegas. Yep.
So this is since he's been the man, since he's been the top dog. This is him headlining a card on a Sunday, and I actually think Cardenas is game. But the only person that we've ever really seen give him a problem is the Filipino Flash, is Nonito Donaire. Nobody else has ever really given him a problem for 12.
He's a special fighter. I think to Omar's question, is he number one pound for pound? I'll give it to Usyk based on the merit of he beat a man half a foot taller, 60 pounds heavier. So,
and he's in the glamour division. It's hard to not give it to Usyk.
It is on merit. But if we're kind of putting that a little bit to the side for a moment and just making it about ability, right? He probably is pound for pound the most special fighter in the game. I think because of the fact that he's such a knockout artist and the chances and the way he believed, kind of like Manny back in the day, with a different type of style.
It's a different flavor.
It's a different flavor.
Yeah.
But the way they believe in their speed and power and run red lights and take chances, and people will hear that and go, oh, now you're saying Inoue doesn't have defense. No, Inoue can shoulder roll. He's super athletic and bouncy. He moves his head. But the chin's up, and he, kind of like Pacquiao one day, had his moment. He'll probably have his moment one day, you know, because live by the sword, die by the sword. He's that kind of fighter. But I don't think that moment's now. And Cardenas has power. And Cardenas has a mean left hook. And Inoue, the one time he got hurt by Donaire, the left hook. The one time Neri dropped him, southpaw, the left hand. So there, and Cardenas, tough Mexican fighter, is going to let his balls hang. He's going to take some chances. So he has a chance in this fight. But Inoue is just so special. And we got to see that Nakatani fight at some point.
Got to.
That's the 122-pound Japanese Leonard Hearns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I got Inoue.
Yeah.
I got Inoue. Special.
I got Inoue too.
fighter.
But just think about what you're saying right now. You're talking about seeing that fight at 122. I mean, how much more does a monster have to prove? The kid is, I mean, he keeps moving up and keeps his pop and keeps his speed. It's crazy. Yeah, but I just wanted to add that to my take, since I got welcomed into the community for a day, since I got a furlough pass into the boxing PorterWay culture for the day. I just wanted to add my 2 cents on the monster.
Omar, you seen? I know Bruce Carrington still has to get a belt, but I think he'll be fighting for the WBC at some point this year. Fulton's going to move up, I think, to fight Foster. That'll free up the green belt for Carrington. What do you think about Carrington? Is this a guy in America we should think has a real chance at some point of challenging Inoue?
I'm glad you brought that up. I actually spoke with Shushu about the potential of that fight and about how important it is to stay focused until that fight presents itself, because Inoue actually showed up in New York to watch him fight, if you remember, and then walked out after he handled his business, and making it very clear that he showed up just for that fight. I think that Shushu is somebody that's real and has a very high upside. Like everybody else that has that kind of special generational talent, you have to stay focused, and that's going to determine a lot about what happens. I don't think that he's gotten that test yet that he needs before you get to an Inoue.
For sure. Including
getting a belt. But even there's so many belts now, even more important than getting a belt is getting the experience that to know what to do when you get in there with a shark like the monster. So I have high hopes for Shushu. He's a focused young man. He's a disciplined young man. And he's cut from that cloth of that same neighborhood where a lot of champs have come from. And there's something in the water out there that makes you eligible to take it and turn it up to the top level. Whether you Tyson, Shannon Briggs, Riddick Bowe, you know, that whole cut cloth of that New York flair. So I like Shushu. And I think timing wise, by the time that he's ready to fight Inoue, I don't think Inoue will still be at his peak, which could serve as dangerous for him, in theory.
Speaking of Brooklyn,
Go ahead.
Inoue, please come out to Simon Says by Faro Munch. It's got the Godzilla. You are the beast. You're Godzilla coming to American shores to devour.
I like that.
Come out to that dun 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 dun.
I like that.
I'm just saying.
I don't like that. I feel
that
like
would be hard.
I'm American.
I heard praise some Pharaoh Munch now. I heard Pharaoh Munch.
I am too, but
I feel like
I like Godzilla too. I'm a huge Godzilla fan.
Is that American?
Yeah, I mean,
it's black.
It's Black American. Let me do this real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here. Motivational message. Last week I talked about the tar of trauma in our life, and stepping on that tar and not getting that tar off your shoes, and it just pulls you down and weighs you down, and you're not able to go out and live the life that you want to live because of that tar. So then this week I said, you know what, I'm gonna come back to it. And I think there's 3 types of people in life. There's that person that knows that the tar is there and they just don't give a damn. They're going to step on it, and however life goes, it's just how it's going to go. And then you got the person that's tiptoeing around the tar because they don't want to step on it. They want to pretend, they don't want anything to happen. And so they want to step around and be very, very careful in life. And then you got the person that's actually knows that the tar is there, working on that tar, trying to get that tar off their shoes. Don't not give a damn in life, okay? Don't be that person that don't give a damn and just gonna walk on the trauma that's right there in front of you, that's behind you. Don't be that person that's trying not to shake up the trauma and as long as I don't touch it, then it won't touch me. No. Be that person that knows that the tar is there. Be that person that understands how to get the tar off of you, okay? Get you some therapy. Get with some people. Get that tar off them shoes so that you can live that smooth life that you want to live. This is the Porter Way.
Stay blessed.